Well, welcome to another video. I'm down at a place called Shoalstone Pool, which is at a place called Brixham on the South Devon coast. I've wanted to shoot this place for years and I've never quite got the timing right. It needs to be a really high tide. So I'm going to wear my wellies tonight because it's pretty choppy down there at the moment. And you'll probably see why when I get down there. So yeah, I'm down here. It's about 6:15 at the moment. Now, this pool is a tidal pool. So basically, every now and then, which is very rare, there's a full high tide. It has to be about 5 meters or above to actually flood the pool. And it's got these steel railings going around the perimeter of the pool. So my plan is to shoot these railings, long exposure, and I'll get a nice sort of motion movement with the water and create something a little bit abstract and a little bit kind of minimalistic. That's the plan. Now, why did I wear wellies? Now, if you can imagine this water, which is pretty choppy at the moment, and it breaches this seawall down here and all around the perimeter, now you can see why I need wellies on. Now, as is always the case with quite a few shoots, the conditions, yeah, they're okay. It's not tipping down with rain. What I was hoping for was a nice misty evening. And there's only 4 slots this week where we've got these high tides. So I've picked the one pretty much in the middle. Now I know the days either side are the same forecast-wise. So we've got blue skies, no cloud. So not ideal. I wanted something a little bit misty, but what I'm hoping is I want to crop out the horizon and just focus on the railings themselves. Now at the moment you can see the light on my face. The sun's setting over to my left hand side. So the high tide time, the full high tide, is about 8:20 tonight. So the sunset time is about 7:20. So I'm hoping by then, by the looks of it, the water should have breached the actual pool surroundings and we should be good to go. So I'm going to try and find a few compositions. I've spotted a few already, but until I get that water overlapping, I'm not going to know for sure. So tonight I'm going to be shooting with ND filters, possibly a polarizer as well, but I use the Kase ND filters. I've got 3 here. I've got an ND16, ND64 and an ND1000. So we go 3 stops, 6 stops and 10 stops in neutral density. Now these are square format filters, or oblong in shape, but they fit in my case holder. Now I know there are magnetic ones available, which are great, but I tend to use graduate filters quite a lot. So when I'm using grads, I like to use it in a slotted holder. Now if I'm using clip-on or magnetic filters at the same time, it can get a little bit of a faff. So I tend to stick to these. So ND filters extend exposure and they're neutral density, so they're not coloured. They look grey when you hold them up to the light, but they don't colour the image, they just hold back the light. So whatever my corresponding exposure, my base exposure is, you times it by either 3 stops, 6 stops or 10 stops, and it extends the exposure out. Now I'm thinking tonight, my favourite filter is probably the 6 stop. It gives a nice effect, not too over the top. But I'm going to try all 3 and do some comparisons and see what they come out like. So this is going to be fun. This sea is very choppy. I've nearly got washed in a couple of times. So got a shot set up. Still not breached the wall completely yet with the water, but it's a nice shot. I'll show you in the back of the camera in a minute. Yeah, it's going to be tricky trying to film this and shoot without getting drowned. So very simple composition, nice leading out to the sea in a zigzag sort of shape. Now ideally I want a square crop on these images. Now on my Sony, which is an A7R2, I can't seem to do a square crop, so I'm going to have to do it in post later on. I can get a 16:9 crop and a 3x2, which is the standard standard frame size, but I can't square crop it. And as you can see from that composition there, I didn't really want to include the top part of the scene. So I think there's going to be a bit of cropping going on in post. So you can see my original 3x2 composition, way too much featureless sky in the top of the frame and not much going on the horizon. Even with a grad on, I don't think it would have improved. And also a lot of wasted space in the lower half. So by cropping to a square crop, it immediately kind of focuses your eye on the main detail of the shot that I wanted to include, was the railings. I waited around for about 10-15 minutes for the sea to fully breach the sea wall around the swimming pool. Again, I used a 10-stop filter, and this shot was much better, much more what I had in mind, much more motion, kind of more focused on the railings. So yeah, just by hanging around that little bit extra, it paid off. Well, you know I like a challenge. I've just got an absolute soaking. My legs are soaking wet, and if you can see that down there. But yeah, there's people swimming in here as well, believe it or not, and they keep coming up to this end, which isn't very helpful. Now, I wanted to shoot a comparison set of pictures with different filters. The sea was way too choppy to be videoing at the same time, so I had to concentrate on not getting drowned. So here you can see the first shot with no filter, which was about 1/10 of a second. I then used a 3-stop filter, 3-stop ND, which was 1.3 seconds exposure. Then onto a 6-stop, which gave me 4 seconds. The 6-stop was okay, but not quite. I thought this would be my favourite, but I actually opted for the 10-stop for the last shot, which I think is a lot more pleasing result and a lot more what I had in mind. Now, bearing in mind there's still some sunlight off to my left hand side as well, so I'm hoping to lose the sunlight in about 10-20 minutes, so I'm going to have to be keep on my feet here and watch my gear and myself, because this is getting pretty choppy at the moment. But yeah, wait for that sun to drop and that should make all the difference. So I'm getting a proper soaking here tonight. This is a little bit dangerous, to be honest, but I'm going to try and show you the composition I've just got. 6-stop filter, just zoom through on this piece here. You can see how rough this sea is, and I've got a nice square crop in mind with this shot, and you can see how the water's breached the wall now, so pretty good. Come back to the relative safety of the beach huts. So because this water is so fierce tonight, it means I'm tending to steer clear of the 10-stop, because there's so much movement there already. With the 6-stop, it's given me enough movement, or the amount of movement that I want, so it's worked out pretty good, other than getting absolutely soaked. Got to keep an eye on these waves, because every now and then one of them comes in and catches me unawares. I'm using a remote release at the moment, so I can keep my hands off the camera and actually watch these waves, just to make sure that I'm not going to get washed into the sea. Whoa. think that's enough from that viewpoint. Well, this is crazy. So I'm absolutely soaked. So I think I've exhausted that viewpoint. So I'm going to walk along the other end, which is looking even more choppy. So I'm not sure whether that's going to work. I was talking about square crops earlier. Now I was going to come and shoot this with film tonight, with my film camera. That would have been a mistake, I think, because I need ultimate concentration with that, and to be honest, it would have been nigh on impossible. Now, talking of square format, square crops, I've got myself a new camera. I picked up a Mamiya C330. So for all you film lovers out there, I'm going to be shooting a few videos on this soon. So please keep an eye on the channel and click that notification bell. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and you'll be notified then when these videos drop. But yeah, I'm looking forward to sticking some film through that. So for now, I'm going to move along a bit, see if there's anything along this way. Now the plan was tonight, once the sun dropped, I was going to stand here and shoot along that way, which I've already done. But now the sea's come up over this wall, you can see how much motion and movement there is in this water. It's pretty dangerous, so I don't think I'm going to risk that tonight. I think I'm quite happy with the shots that I've got so far. I've just walked along and I found this little composition. These little steps running down into water with the blue edges to them, leading out to the railings in the background. So I'm going to try and shoot this in relative safety. So I'm in bulb mode at the moment, so I'm doing a 1 minute exposure. 960. Oh, that's quite surprising. Very simple, but yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm going to do the same shot but slightly wider now. Again, another 1 minute exposure. It's a lot safer up here, I must admit. It's pretty wild tonight, but I'm glad I came down. So it's been on my list, this place, for a long time. But it was just my mind playing tricks fly by. Very nice. Quite surprised with that. I'd say a very simple shot, but I think that worked. Right, I'm going to brave that end. As you can see over there, it's getting pretty rough, so I definitely have to get a higher viewpoint, because I'm not standing on that platform. Well, I think that's confirmation that I should give up the ghost. Literally just got an absolute soaking then. This camera's absolutely soaking wet. My other camera's soaking wet. So I think this is getting a bit too dangerous now. But I'm happy with what I've got tonight. Pretty good shoot. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to go home and hopefully on the drive back home I'll dry out a bit. This is going to have to dry out as well tonight before I can clean everything off. So join me next week when hopefully I'll be shooting some 6x6 film on my new stroke old 1970s TLR camera. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye and end the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.